Hello everyone, welcome to George Crafts. Today I want to go through some of the techniques used in making the Aldi Harry Potter crochet kit. A few of you have asked for this video, so I hope that it helps you. So we're going to look at some techniques today, and they are going to be the same techniques used in making the head, eyes, ears, hair, body, arms, legs and wand. So I'm not going to do separate videos for each of those things. I'm just going to show you how to do it once, and then you can keep referring back to the video for the techniques. So I've got with me my pattern and the crochet hook that came with the kit. I've also got some scrap yarn and a stitch marker, which you're going to need to make the project. Some chunkier crochet so that you can see easily what I'm doing, and this is the yarn it was been made with. And then I've got my chunkier hook, and this is a 3mm crochet hook, which is the same size as this one, but this one's a bit flexible, so it's a bit more tricky to use. So there we go. So the first thing you'll need to do is to start off working in the round. So I'll show you how to do that to begin with. Now it asks you to make a magic ring, so I'll show you how to do that to start with. So hold the tail of your yarn towards you and wrap it around your fingers so that the yarn crosses the top of your fingers twice. Take your crochet hook, put it under the first piece and drag the second piece back. Then grab hold of that yarn again and pull it through the loop that you've made. And then what you're going to do is you're going to make the number of double crochets that says in the pattern around these two pieces of yarn. So we're going to pop our hook underneath the tail and through the circle, bring our yarn back towards us, so we've got two loops on the hook, and close those two loops together. So I'm going to do that a few more times, and then I'll show you what you need to do afterwards. So if it says double crochet 6 into a magic ring, you make 6 double crochets. If it says 3, do 3, and so on. Okay, so just whatever the pattern says is what you need to do. Now let's see how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So once you've got the number of double crochets you want, you're going to pull on that tail and it will bring your stitches together into a circle. So the only time you're going to make a slip stitch is when you do the eyes. So I'll show you how to do a slip stitch. So we pop our hook into the first double crochet that we did, bring the yarn through and then through again, so you've joined them together. So we'll just do that again. So this is a slip stitch, which is only used in the eyes. There we go. So I'm going to undo that. Once you've got the double rings, the magic ring sorted, you can carry on going around in your crochet. But I just want to show you another way of starting off if you find the magic ring a little bit too tricky. So we're going to start this time by making a slip knot. So wrap the yarn around your finger, making a cross, and then put your thumb on the cross. Take your finger out of the loop so you're just left with a circle. and then bring your yarn through there and tie in a knot. Pop the loop on your hook, and now what we're going to do is make 2 chains. So that's 1 chain, and then that's another, and then in the first chain that we made we're going to put double crochets. So we go through and bring the yarn back and close 2 loops together, in and back, close the 2 loops together, and so on until you've got the right number of stitches that it says in your pattern. So for most things, so for the head, I think, and head, legs, body, it's always going to be 6, I think. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'll do one more, and 6. So if you're not doing the eyes, you'll need to put a stitch marker into the final stitch. Now if you don't have any, don't worry, because we can just use a scrap of yarn from another project. So cut yourself a small amount off, fold it double, and then I'm just going to use a smaller hook to make this quicker, but you don't need another hook. Just pull that yarn through, so you're marking the last stitch in each round. Okay, so then when you go on to the next round, you just go straight into your round. You don't do any slip stitches unless you're doing the eyes. Okay, so that's 2 different ways of starting, using your stitch marker or your scrap yarn. So what I'm going to show you now is how to do increases and decreases, because that's how we add shape to our pattern or to our project. So I've just got a piece of crochet here that I made earlier, and you can see along the top edge we've got these little V's. So when we're crocheting, we're going to be putting our hook through that V, both parts of it, to bring our yarn back like this. So if I can find the end of my yarn again, so I'm just going to join it in. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to do increases. So we're going to pop the hook through our stitch. Now we've got 2 loops of yarn on the hook. Join them together, and then in the same place you just put your hook through, put it through again, and make another double crochet in the same space. Okay, that's how you put an increase in. So I'll show you that again. So hook into the stitch, pull the yarn back, close the 2 loops, hook through the same space you just went in, pull the yarn back and close the 2 loops. Okay, so now you've got 2 stitches in the place where there was 1 in the previous row. So now I'm going to show you how to do decreases. Okay, so I'm just going to join my yarn back in. So what we're going to do is put our hook through our first stitch, pull the yarn back, leave those 2 loops on the hook and put our hook through the next stitch and pull the yarn back. So you can see now our hook has 3 loops of yarn on. This was where our yarn started. This is when we've put our hook through the first stitch, and this is where we've put our hook through the second stitch. So then we just close all of the loops together. So I'll show you that one more time. We put our hook through the first stitch and bring the yarn back, put our hook through the second stitch and bring the yarn back, and then close our loops together. And so that's all the basic techniques that you're going to need to make the head, eyes, hair, ears, body, arms, legs and wand, and anything else that's made in the round. So what I thought we could do now is start on making the head. So just for speed, I'm going to use the second method of starting that I showed you. So I'm going to chain 2, there's 1, there's 2, and now I'm going to make 6 double crochets into the first chain. So now what I'm going to do is place my stitch marker on my spare piece of yarn in the final stitch that I just made. Okay, then I'm not going to lose my place. So then the next round wants us to make increases in every stitch. So there's 1 and 2 in the same place. And there's 2 and 2 in the same place. So now we move on to number 3. And 2 in the same place. And 4. And 2 in the same place. And 5. 2 in the same place. And 6. And 2 in the same place. So now you've finished round number 2. What you're going to do is take your stitch marker off and put it on the last stitch that you made in this round, so that you can keep count. So now we're going to do round 3, and I've written this out. If you're not familiar with reading a pattern, I thought I'd go through this with you. So round 3 is written as square brackets, DC1, comma, increase, square brackets, times 6. And then in the end of the row they've got 18 in round brackets. 18 is the total number of stitches that you will have when you've finished that round. Okay, so what this means is double crochet 1, so make 1 stitch like you would normally do, and then it wants you to make an increase, so that's 2 stitches in the same place, so that's 1, 2, 3, and it wants you to do that 6 times, and 6 3s are 18, so you end up with 18 stitches. Okay, so there's double crochet 1, make an increase, which is 2 in the same space, 6 times is 18 stitches. So we'll do that now. So double crochet 1, make an increase, so that's 1 and 2 in the same space, double crochet 1 and then increase, so 1 and 2 in the same space, so double crochet 1, make an increase, so that's 1 and 2, whoops, 2 in the same space, double crochet 1 and then increase, so that's 1 and 2 in the same space, so double crochet 1 and then increase is 1, 2 in the same space, and then double crochet 1 and put an increase in the final stitch, so that's 1 and 2 in the same space. And then what we'll do is we'll take off our stitch marker and put it into the final stitch that we've just done in round number 3. And we're ready to start round number 4. So this time we'll be doing double crochet 2 and then making an increase. So it's important to look at where your square brackets are, because that inside is 1 unit that you're going to be doing. So this time we're going to be double crochet 1, double crochet 2 and then make an increase. So that works in this way. So double crochet 1 in the first stitch, double crochet 1 in the second stitch, make an increase, so double crochet 1 in the third stitch and 2 in the third stitch. So then we're going to do double crochet 1 in the fourth stitch, 1 in the fifth stitch and make an increase in the sixth, so that's 1 and 2. Okay, so 1 followed by another 1 followed by an increase, so that's 1 and 2 in the same place. So 1, 1, increase, so 1 and 2. So 1, 1, and increase is 2 in the same place. Okay, 1 and 1 and 2 in the same space for our final increase. Once that's finished, take your stitch marker off and pop it onto the final stitch that you've just done in round number 4. So now we're going to look at round number 5, which if you look at your pattern might seem a little bit scary, because there's quite a lot going on in this row. So we're just looking at the top line here. So the row of this pattern is written as DC plus, close brackets, increase, comma, DC3, close brackets, times 5, plus increase, plus double crochet 2. And then the number at the end of the line in rounded brackets is 30, meaning there are 30 stitches in this round. So we need to break this bit down because it looks very complicated. So we're just going to look at the unit now. So an increase we know is 2 in the same space. So that's 1 plus 1, 2. And then double crochet 3 is 3. So that's 5. And it wants us to repeat the unit 5 times. So 5 5s are 25. We're not repeating the double crochet 1 5 times, and we're not increasing any of the numbers after 5 times. The only thing we're increasing is the unit. So 1 plus 25 plus 1 is 27, 28, 29, 30. 30 stitches, 30 is the number, in rounded brackets at the end. This is as complicated as any of the pieces worked in the round is going to be. Okay, so if you can do this, you can do the whole project. So I'll show you how to work that. So we're going to start with double crochet 1. So that's 1. And then we're going to do an increase, which is 2 in the same space. So that's 1, 2, and then double crochet 3. So that's 1 into this stitch, 1 into the next stitch, and 1 into the stitch after that. And that's my unit finished. So now I'm going to do another increase, which is 1 and 2 in the same space, and then double crochet 3. So that's 1, and then 1 in the next, and 1 in the next. And then that's the end of our second unit complete. So now we're going to repeat the unit again. So increase 1 and 2 in the same space, followed by double crochet 3. So 1 into the next stitch, 1 into the following stitch, and 1 into the stitch after that. Then we're ready to make another unit. So we're going to increase again. So that's 1 and 2 in the same space, and then 3 double crochets. So 1 in one stitch, 1 in a second stitch, and 1 in a third stitch to complete this unit. And then we're going to make another increase. So 1 and 2 in the same space, and then 1 in the next stitch, 1 in the stitch after that, and 1 in the following stitch. So now we've repeated our unit 5 times. It wants us to make another increase. So that's 1 stitch and 2 stitches in the same place, and then it wants us to double crochet 2. So that's 1 into the next stitch and 1 into the final stitch. So that's the end of round number 5. Take your stitch marker off, or your spare piece of yarn, pop it onto the final stitch that you've just done in round number 5, and you're now ready to do round number 6. So the most important thing to remember is if there is anything in square brackets followed by a multiplier, the only things you multiply are the things inside the brackets. Don't multiply anything before or after the brackets. So we're going to follow the instructions up to where the square bracket starts. Then we're going to make our unit as many times as the pattern tells us. Once you've finished the final repeat of that unit, then you can do the instructions after the multiplication. And to check that you've got things right, the number in the end of the row in the rounded brackets is the total number of stitches that you should have. So you would count backwards from your final stitch round to the beginning, and if you've got the same number, then you've done it right. Okay, you shouldn't have any other ways of reading the pattern. If there are, I will do another video for you. When it comes to making the decreases, the units are still the same, and you can refer back to the beginning of the video to see how to do a decrease. If you have any questions, please get in touch with us either in the comments under the video or find us on social media. We're on Facebook and our tag is @GeorgeCraftsBlog, and we're on Instagram and our tag for that is @George_crafts. We also have a blog with lots of other crochet tutorials, georgecrafts.co.uk. If you enjoyed this video or you found it useful, please give us a like and tell us in the comments. And remember to subscribe to our channel to get more updates on when we release new videos. I'll be doing another video to show you how to make things in rows rather than in the round for this particular project. And I'll also do a little video of sewing up and the embroidery as well. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.